Jonathan Stong.
Yes,
and
sir.
We are rolling right through season 4 of The Fueling Station.
I'm loving every minute of it. Actually, we're not going to stop. I think if we go out tonight, we should just keep everything rolling.
We should. Again, we said this before. I can't believe they're letting us do this for a 4th season.
I don't even know if they know we're doing this, to be honest with you. Like, does anybody know that we're doing this? Guys, welcome back to what we're doing. It's this.
That's a very good point. So, for those of you that do know what we're doing, my name is Ed Kammer. This is my good friend, my
Jonathan
co-host.
Stong, guys. Good afternoon.
We are together, the Podtroleum
guys. And this is The Fueling Station.
The Fueling Station, where we talk about fuel and petroleum and all kinds of fun things that we do here at OPW Retail Fueling.
That's absolutely
and,
right.
we're actually here live in Las Vegas at the WPMA show. And, Jonathan, I got to say, one thing that I've noticed, with the crowd of people that we see coming to these shows, traditionally, this is, I'm going to say, an old man's game or an old man's industry, but traditionally, this is an old man's industry.
Absolutely.
A lot of us have been doing this a long time. The majority of the people, once they're in this industry, they stay in this industry. But, now those old timers, they're starting to time out.
That's right.
And we see an influx of, younger people, 20-somethings.
Getting
I don't
into
even
the
know what they
industry.
are now. Gen Z, Gen A, Gen Alpha, Beta, Millennials. I don't even know what they're calling anymore. But I know I'm a boomer, so I know they're a lot younger than I am.
That's right. Well, but you said it. I'm looking around here, and I see young folks. I mean, we talked a couple of seasons ago about the median age of an individual in this industry was in the 50s, okay? And that's where we're at, right? But the industry has to be revitalized. And like you said, people are coming up through the ranks, and people are getting back into hands-on businesses like the petroleum industry. And you mentioned it earlier, too. With this administration, there's going to be more room for more growth in our sector of business. So it's exciting.
Yeah, the petroleum industry is strong. People are coming into the industry. People are realizing that fossil fuels are not going away. They're not dead. There's still a lot of opportunities for these young people. And as well as I do, I mean, my kids are a little bit older than yours. Mine are 20-somethings and you have teenagers. But, younger kids get their information different than the way we did. I know when I started in this industry, I was given a set of, binders, catalogs, and I was told, okay,
that's it.
Learn. Here's what you have to learn. Take home a different binder every night and learn about this, this manufacturer, this company. And that's what we did. We had binders and catalogs. But, hey, man, kids don't want to learn things that way.
And honestly, we've got to cater to that. We got to cater to the new group of individuals coming up and how they get the information appropriately, accurately, and how they actually digest it. What's the form? What's the periphery that's going to make them understand what their task at hand is? And like you said, content itself needs to be, current.
Actually, so speaking of content, so that leads us right into our esteemed guest. We have here Mr. Darren White with Dean Houston. Dean Houston is a marketing firm. They actually really kind of specialize in this niche industry of the petroleum industry. Many of their clients are in the petroleum industry. So, from a marketing standpoint, these guys know more than anything else. Darren, I think, what are you, like VP of content or VP of, I don't even know what you are anymore.
Yeah,
You're VP of, well, I know what you're VP of.
I'm just VP of everything.
VP of BS. VP of
But
BS.
so actually, Darren used to be the editor of, those of us who have been in the industry for a long time, remember the old NPN magazine, the National Petroleum News magazine. But Darren was the editor at one time, and may or may not have been responsible for its demise. But that's a topic for another discussion.
Didn't I see you on the cover of that magazine one time?
I may have been. But Darren, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and let's talk about this content and how we can get information out to the younger people.
Yeah, and so I started in this market in 1998. So I was the research editor for National Petroleum News. I put together the Market Facts issue, if you remember that. They did the station count, and it was a very well respected annual issue that was quoted in a lot of newspapers, and it kind of...
It was well respected, so you became editor?
Yeah. And so eventually I became editor-in-chief of the publication and did that for about a decade. And then I moved over and got an offer from Dean Houston, and I headed up their content department, media, publicity, content development. And then most recently, about 5 years ago, I moved over and started to head the department that are all of our account managers. We call it client success, because if our clients succeed, we succeed. And so I lead that team right now.
Gotcha. So, I mean, this is what you guys do every day for a living, is provide information, provide content. Yes. Not only on the marketing side, but the training side and something. So why don't you talk a little bit about, how things have changed, and why as a manufacturer, but also as our distributors and service providers, how important is providing information in other types of formats so important now?
Yeah, I think it's terribly important because everything that's out there, like there's a slant to it. The media, we see it in mainstream media now. Everybody kind of has an angle that they're trying to get you to do whatever, or think in their way or something like that. But if you want to establish yourself as a thought leader and really help educate the market, these new 20-somethings coming up in the market that really, I'd say this is a very complicated market. There's so many regulations, there's so many pieces of equipment that you really don't know what they are because they're under the ground. You can't really see them, you can't put your hands on them unless you're at a trade show like this. But it's super important to create content that's educational, objective, and really educates the market on what these products are, what the trends are in the industry, and how to get ready for those regulations and use the right products and all that kind of stuff. So I think from a content standpoint, when I started back in 1998, trade publications were critical because that was really the way to get out to the masses, and everybody read the print magazines. Over time, it has transitioned through digital media. Every trade publication now still is printed mostly, but then they have e-newsletters and websites. But then now, obviously, social media, whether it's TikTok or Facebook or LinkedIn, that's really the media.
Snapface.
Yeah, Snapface is good.
Yeah, Snapchat. Yeah.
And it's real time too.
Yeah, right. I mean, right now we're like posting content from the show floor, and people that can't come here are learning about what the new products are. But content is not. It's not a fun thing to do. It's really kind of a pain, right? To sit down and write something original piece of content. And so we try to follow a pattern or a template, a process. So we create the long form thought leadership piece, and then we try to cut it up into as many pieces as possible to use on social media, to use on the websites, to use different. Yeah, because you don't just want to create a piece of content for one thing that's just not efficient, right? You want to continually educate because repetition is key in marketing and education, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just a one and done.
And and you probably have done this or done reviews on this, but if people are on their phones, people are on their iPads or computer, they're probably not spending as much time. They're scrolling through, they're looking at things. They need a flashpoint. They need some information that gives them a trigger that says, if I'm interested, let's move forward and get some more information. But if you're reading a book, you're kind of committed, right? But you have an opportunity to flip through and look back and even do some further research on whatever topic you're talking about in another window.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about how you get it, the accessibility factor is incredibly imperative.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to think about how you're serving up content on social media versus another media, right? Because social media, I don't know about you guys, I look through LinkedIn about every day. I look through other, Facebook or whatever social media is. I'm kind of dating myself if I say Facebook, but LinkedIn, I don't
Wait, what happened to MySpace?
I thought you were on that.
I don't spend more than
That's not a thing
30
anymore?
seconds looking at something. I don't know about you guys. If it's a video, if it's something to read, like you see on websites now where it says like 8-minute read or 4-minute read, like that wasn't a factor 10, 15 years ago. Now it is. Like you think about, I don't have enough time to commit to this. So you need to think about the type of content you're serving up, especially on social media. It needs to be snippets. It needs to be little bites.
So as a manufacturer, or someone that's trying to get information out, whether it be on new products, whether it be on the proper use of these products or training, what should we be doing? What's the best way to do that?
Well, I don't think there's one silver bullet approach. You have to take advantage of all media out there. You have to slice and dice your content and create good, solid content that educates people and helps people. Number one, it can't be a promotional piece. It can't be something that has an angle to it. But you need to take advantage of all media because there's really no one thing, right? Because if it was just one thing, we would all be doing it, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because I consume content differently than you consume content differently than you consume content.
Well, we all get our news from different peripheries.
Yeah.
We all get our information differently. I think that's exactly what you're saying, or at least what my little brain is hearing, is that, hey, look, no two people absorb and take information the same way. So we've got to give them multiple ways to do that.
Yeah.
and they can choose what makes sense. Go ahead, Eddie.
Say-
I see that face of yours.
So you got an awful big head for a little brain.
Hey, don't be looking in this place, all right?
I think you got a tremendously large brain up there, Jonathan.
It's got a lot of space. I'll tell you that much.
And I would also say video is so immensely important. Where the written word was huge back 10, 15 years ago, but now video trumps that tenfold. I don't know.
Well,
what
I knew
the
better
stat
than to
is,
put
but-
you on video, but anyway.
Yeah, well, obviously, I don't have the big head like him,
Well,
right?
it's nice. Look at it. You can see it from all angles.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the important thing. It's a lot of different
Yeah.
media
Yep.
approaches. Video's important. Think about how it's created and the quality of the content, and then how you chop it up.
Yeah,
And the
and
more
I
information,
think
the better.
I think we do, or we're trying to do a better job with that. Compared
Yeah.
to some of the other manufacturers in the industry. Hell, this podcast is a great example.
Absolutely.
Something that we started doing 3 years ago. We're in our fourth season, and for that exact reason, was trying to get information to people in a different format. And so that's we're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, you got a 60-year-old, leading a marketing department, and I gotta stop thinking like a 60-year-old and start thinking like my 23-year-old.
So when you said you were a boomer, I was kind of like, wait, what? I thought you were Gen X, but you really are a boomer, aren't you?
I am 1964. I was the last year of a boomer.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you look like a young boomer, so
How
I'll
about,
give
how
you
about
that.
the size of his head?
He's got an average size head.
All right, so here's what I really want to know: how do Jonathan and I get the fueling station to have more followers than Joe Rogan?
I don't know who the editor is or the approver of this
Well,
is.
Jonathan just said no one knows we're doing this.
They have no idea.
Maybe I think that's fine, but no, I think you guys are in a niche market. Joe Rogan's obviously everybody can listen to him, but
Sure.
so it's going to be smaller viewerships, but you're going to be targeting and hitting the right people.
Yeah. Well, and
I don't know if that was a BS question or real.
well,
It's real.
coming from you, I wouldn't expect anything else.
Yeah.
We're
But
twice as
so
close,
when Jonathan and I first started putting this together, my vision was like Barstool Sports, Barstool Petroleum.
Yeah.
Although I don't think we're allowed to call it Barstool Petroleum because Dave Portnoy would probably come
Yeah,
after
legal
us.
reasons,
But
yeah.
we are getting way off the topic
Yeah,
of petroleum.
Whatever,
But
it's
that's
good
okay.
content. Is
That's
that what
what's
we're
fun.
supposed to be doing here?
That's why people like listening to Fueling Station because we
Yeah.
don't just talk about fuel.
That's right.
Exactly. We talk
We
about
talk
pizza.
about fool. Like you, Goose.
Wait. Oh my God.
I'm loving it.
Anyway,
That's hilarious.
hey, Darren, thanks for stopping by. I
Thanks for
appreciate the
having me.
conversation. You guys do a great job as a marketing firm in getting the message out and allowing us to share the things that we do with the petroleum industry in the world. Like I said, our audience isn't as big as Joe Rogan's, but
Yeah.
I like to think we do a pretty good job with the people that do listen to us. And hopefully you'll continue to listen to the next episode of The Fueling Station. You can find us on any of the podcast networks, or you can catch us at opwretailfueling.com. But Darren, we appreciate you stopping by.
Great work, Darren.
Thanks for having
Jonathan,
me.
as always, is
Appreciate
a
you.
pleasure knocking another one of these episodes out. There we go. Hopefully we won't get canceled. But anyway, you've been listening to The Fueling Station with Ed Kammerer.
Jonathan Stone,
Johnny, what they call us?
the Petroleum
Petroleum guys. See you on the next episode.
Go
guys.
Birds!
Oh,
Oh.
got it in.